So, hot flushes, palpitations, depression, mood swings. Yeah, it's not a night out with Janet.
No.
Oh, Janet, you know I love you. You can take it.
You can.
I'm talking about the menopause, of course, that dreaded word. And there is a documentary, as I said, on ITV tonight, all about the change, which features 3 loose women. Women of a certain age. But it's so true. I mean, everyone was nodding, so many women in the audience going,
I'm treading it.
I know. Well,
Absolutely treading it.
Well, they're very familiar symptoms there for most of us in the studio audience today as well. And the programme, that is The Truth About the Menopause, it's called. It's on ITV tonight at 7:30. And that programme, they did a special survey and they found that a quarter of women, that's 1 in 4 of us, would consider actually giving up work because of the menopausal symptoms that we have to go through. And that got us all talking this morning and saying, you know, should women get special treatment during the menopause or, you know, even time off work? So, Linda, you sitting there fanning yourself and you're at work today. So what do you think?
Do you know what? Our mums and our nans never had time off work when they went through the menopause. They just sort of had to get on with it, and the same as we have to get on with it. It's not easy sometimes. As I said, you do feel lethargic. I used to have lots of energy when I was on my HRT. Come off that now on the natural remedies and everything. But sometimes you just have to get on with it, don't you? I mean, in the bed of a night, me and Mark row all the time. He's freezing cold. I'm boiling hot. The duvet's on. The duvet's off. You know, like the windows are open.
But you're saying, you know, we just have to get on with it. But do we? Because maybe it's about education. So, you know, as in educating GPs, educating bosses, talking about it like we do on here. I mean, there was years ago, it was so taboo. Women didn't talk, you know, it was always like...
Yeah.
You know, you didn't talk about it. We say the word menopause now.
I know, we do
so
talk
maybe
about it now.
bosses need to be more sympathetic, Janet.
Yeah, bosses need to be more sympathetic, I would agree. But these guidelines that the Faculty for Occupational Medicine want to launch sound ludicrous. They went, women must be able to change the workplace temperature and ventilation. Well, yes, on one level, but can you imagine the arguments in the office over the temperature?
Down.
Up, down, up,
But then they also suggested, well, if you don't do that, maybe there is a quiet room, you know, where you're suddenly going, I'm so hot, I think I'm going to pass out, where you could go and, you know, take your top off, give yourself a fan, bit of squirt of deodorant or something, where it's private. No, but seriously, you know, it's very hard in a workplace.
I think what's interesting is that Karen Brady wrote that women are being reduced to hormone levels, really, talking about us in terms of a problem and not being able to cope, needing time off work, isn't necessarily helpful to all women. And the truth of the matter is, I think one of us said that this morning, if men had periods and if they had the menopause, which is at the moment mental rather than physical for men, they would be much more understanding. But the majority of bosses in the UK are still men, and I think even for women like me, you know, loudmouth, tough women, it's hard to bring up a subject like, you know, not feeling...
I know. I've got some older friends, and they were saying to me about the menopause that it's something they feel is quite a sad, intimate thing to discuss sometimes, that part of them they've lost forever. And even though it's exciting, there's a new chapter and they're being positive, part of their life is over and it's gone and that's it. And there is a sensitivity around it, and I do get that. And I think as long as there's not like this blanket thing where everyone can call in and go, oh, it's the menopause, that's why I'm not working. I think it needs to be a personal thing.
But isn't it just part of your medical history? You should be able to go to the doctor and get a sick note if you're suffering from symptoms from the menopause.
Yes. That's my thing.
It doesn't have to be just for that.
Yeah, it's a general health issue.
It shouldn't have a label. Some women sail through the menopause, they don't even notice it.
Well, that's me. I mean, did I have it? When did it happen? Because as Linda often says, I'm grumpy all the time. I'm for 50 years. I'm on HRT, and that's why I think you must go back on HRT, because I'm going to be on HRT till the day I snuff it. I'll be in that coffin. The brain will be dead, but the body will look fantastic. Great skin tone.
You know, it does say that all this survey they did for the programme, The Truth About the Menopause, this is 85% of British women believe there should be workplace guidelines. So women aren't saying, oh, yes, we all need time off work. We're just saying there should be guidelines that bosses follow, that health professionals follow, that are sympathetic, so that you can go, you don't feel embarrassed to say, look, I've only had 2 hours sleep, you know, I'm having a terrible time.
But it's not just the menopause, is it, Ruth? It's the heavy periods as well, because in this very studio, you know, 20 or 30 years ago, I had such heavy periods, and I was doing a live show, and I remember I didn't know who to tell about it, but I actually told the nurse in the building.
Was it mainly men you were working with?
All men.
Predominantly those days.
All men, right? And I had to do a live TV show in a pair of tight trousers, and I remember going into the sick bay and lying with my feet up and having ice put on my stomach.
If you thought that got heated, wait until you watch these and click here to subscribe. You may as well. It's totally free.